For nearly 30 years, the Berlin Wall was a physical manifestation of a divided world. It stretched for 155 kilometers, punctuated by 302 concrete watchtowers. But the wall itself was only the final obstacle. Before reaching it, you had to cross the Death Strip, a flood-lit corridor of sand, anti-tank obstacles, and armed guards under strict orders to shoot anyone attempting to cross. This intimidating barricade seemed like a permanent fixture of reality, a fortress built to last generations. A clerical error achieved what decades of military deterrence could not. On the evening of November 9, 1989, East German party spokesman Günter Schabowski sat before a room of journalists for what was supposed to be a routine press conference. Towards the end of the hour, a reporter asked a specific question about new travel regulations. Schabowski, who had only been handed a draft of these rules minutes before, began frantically shuffling through his papers. Pressed on exactly when citizens could cross the border, he read from a note, shrugged, and improvised. Immediately, without delay. How did a single, bumbling press conference completely bypass decades of military deterrence and accidentally dismantle the Iron Curtain? To understand the mistake, we have to look at the mounting pressure inside East Germany. By the late summer of 1989, citizens began exploiting open borders in neighboring countries, packing into the courtyards of West German embassies in places like Prague, desperate for a way out. Back home, a different kind of resistance was forming. Dissidents and everyday citizens found a rare safe haven inside East German churches, most notably the St. Nicholas Church in Leipzig, which hosted weekly Monday prayer meetings for peace. By October, those quiet prayer gatherings had spilled out into the streets, evolving into massive, unauthorized nighttime protests. Tens of thousands marched with a simple, potent chant, "We are the people." In a state that claimed to rule on behalf of the working class, ordinary citizens publicly declaring otherwise struck at the very core of the regime's legitimacy. This unprecedented two-front civilian pressure, mass exodus combined with mass protest, forced the previously invincible government into a state of panic. The pressure eventually forced the resignation of Erich Honecker, the hardline leader who had ruled East Germany for nearly 2 decades. Desperate to appease the public and regain control, the leadership scrambled to draft a highly complex travel regulation, given the bureaucratic title VVS B2 93789. The plan allowed citizens to emigrate permanently, but forced them through a rigid, slow-moving visa application process to maintain order. Crucially, this plan was strictly embargoed. It wouldn't take effect until the following day, November 10th, giving border guards time to prepare the checkpoints. Authoritarian systems rely entirely on rigid, top-down control to survive. When a government like this is forced to rush legislation to pacify a revolt, the internal communication breaks down. Which brings us back to the evening of November 9th. Günter Schabowski had been handed the text of the new regulation right before going on camera, but nobody briefed him on the November 10th embargo. When Italian journalist Riccardo Erman pressed for details, Schabowski was forced to read the dense, confusingly worded bureaucratic text live on the air. Scanning the page for an effective date and finding none in the main paragraph, he made a fatal assumption. He looked up and declared the borders open immediately. Because this moment was broadcast live on television across the entire country, a spokesman's confused misread bypassed the government's internal failsafe and became undeniable official policy in the minds of the public. West German news programs immediately amplified the quote. Within hours, tens of thousands of unarmed East Berliners marched to the border checkpoints, demanding to be let through. At the Bornholmer Strasse crossing, Commander Harold Jaeger found himself vastly outnumbered by the swelling crowd. He frantically called his superiors, but the panicked leadership gave him no clear orders. Left to decide the fate of the city on his own, Jaeger realized his only options were to order his men to open fire on thousands of civilians, or step aside. He chose to yield, ordering the barriers raised. Almost immediately, the physical destruction of the wall began. Everyday citizens took hammers and chisels to the concrete, tearing apart the barrier piece by piece. Relentless, peaceful civilian courage had finally pushed a rigid bureaucracy into a state of panic. proving that the world's most terrifying borders are only as strong as the flawed humans managing them.